Hello everyone and welcome back. We are starting out with a new project. This time it's going to be a shed in a box. We picked this up at Tractor Supply and decided we needed something just to give us a little bit more breathing room and space for a lot of our tools and equipment. So first up, we prepared a small little piece of land for this to fit on, tried to smooth it out and tried to level it as best as we could. And then next was reading all of the instructions that came with it, as well as starting to unbox all of the materials provided. We placed everything by its numeric order and code, that way it would make finding things easier. We did come across one issue though. Quite a few of these had to be filed down due to some metal burrs inside, which wasn't allowing everything to connect pretty easily. But outside of that, a lot of it was just screwing all of the pieces together. Next up was putting the tarps on. This is the front and back side tarp. And eventually we got to the main one that went overhead. This is when things started going wrong as the winds picked up out of nowhere, causing, even though we had it anchored down, it caused it to basically just fall in on itself. So we needed reinforcements. We ratcheted some heavy posts we still had behind. We put some concrete blocks down to see if that would help kind of keep it stable for us as the winds continued to blow on for the area. That is how dirty I was after all the winds that came through. But unfortunately, disaster did strike, and the shed in the box just could not take it.
Should I slice it?
I don't know.
I don't know how to fight it without getting hurt. This could be bad.
How's it on there? It's just with those straps, right? Just cut the straps off.
Yeah. Jesus. I'm grabbing a knife.
The shed in a box was now dead in a box. We do have plans for this actually in the future to make this a little bit more permanent structure, but obviously these are not great out here in these high desert winds. Lesson learned. Next project up, Paul was wanting to make a nicer stand for our Cochise system, as a lot of the legs were starting to become just wonky and no longer functional on the bottom. Honestly, a lot of Cochise products we're having some issues with lately. I'll go into it probably in another video. But on this point, Paul is making this stand just kind of on the fly, just with a quick thought in his head, so that we could hang that hot water system easily and quickly on there. Paul worked on removing the dysfunctional leg, and eventually we were free of the cheap legs on the bottom. And we just wanted to test everything out again to make sure it was working okay. So Paul hooked all the connectors and quick connects into everything. We filled up a very small 5-gallon bucket of water just to do a quick test. Brought our power supply out, plugged everything in. And it was around after this point we noticed that the pumps were not working properly. It just wasn't turning on. There was no water filtering through, so we figured, okay, well maybe it's because the propane's not hooked up to it. And so we ended up hooking up the propane and trying it once more, which it just nothing was happening again. We could hear the pump actually turning on, but unfortunately we think that was the issue. The pump had just gone bad. Replacement was $169, which was a no thank you. So we purchased this Camplux one with quick connects, and this actually did the trick. We hooked it up and everything worked smoothly. The next epic fail was our Gorilla cart tires. 3 out of 4 pretty much went flat from a lot of the really thick mesquite thorns out here, and so we ended up just replacing all of them with these Harbor Freight thick rubber tires. Hello everyone. Yes, I have a very big hat on. It's going to be very warm today. We're actually hitting the 80s out here, so we've got to dress in light colors and try to avoid as much, I guess, high UV rays as we can while we're still working outside. Something I did want to show you that we've been working on is we're starting the channel system for our retention ponds and our basins around the property, where our newly created retention pond is. So that's our hope for that project, and we're looking forward to it because it means diverting a lot of lost rainwater onto our own property for our own benefit. We still have to dig the channel out to the road, which is still a good probably 30 feet maybe. And then from there, our hope is that with that mass of water coming on, it'll promote a lot of plants growing, wild, native, volunteer, invasive. I don't even care at this point. It's so barren out here. We can use pretty much anything that we get, at least to get started. So but yeah, so I wanted to share that little project with you all, but let's get back to it. Paul was able to help me dig out the rest of the channel on this, that I also worked on kind of on my lunch breaks and when I had in between times. And so the channel will divert down to these little basin areas that we were going to dig out, and our hope is to have some plants, maybe trees or something, foliage in here. That way when we get those sheets of monsoon rains coming in, it'll divert that water to these areas and just allow it to kind of soak in and help the soils in those areas. Speaking of lunch breaks, this is just one of the quick mini meals that I wanted to film, just to kind of show what we eat every once in a while. So this is just angel hair pasta, some red pepper hummus, some feta, and these lettuce splens. So just boil the pasta up, just add all of the red pepper hummus, some feta, and just top it off with some of that lettuce spring mix. And then just give it all a good mix, and the heat from the pasta just kind of wilts down the lettuces and the green mixes in there. Added some pepper, some salt, some olive oil on top, and that's all it is. Just a very quick, simple lunch, about as long as it takes to boil some pasta. We're on to another adventure, just because we don't have enough projects going on. We rented a U-Haul for a weekend to head on over to Tucson. And Vinny did come along with us, even though he was not enjoying the ride very much. The trip to Tucson was very beneficial. We picked up quite a lot of things, as you'll see in the next few shots. On our way back to the homestead, we actually made a side detour so Paul could purchase a ladder that was for sale on Marketplace. And then eventually it was back out towards the homestead. Where it was time to unload all of our goodies from our trip to Tucson. This is a huge lumber order that was a part of that big trip to Tucson. So that you'll see that in upcoming videos, as well as we picked up a ton of free pallets that we know we'd put to great use in later projects. So here is all of that lumber that we had kind of sorted out into its different sizes and areas. And we also picked up some IBC totes while we were in town. We were hopeful that these IBC totes will allow us to continue to collect water with some of our upcoming projects, so that way we can use it for plants and gardening and all of that fun stuff. We did make sure to pick up food grade IBC totes because you don't want to be obviously watering your garden or drinking anything from that had previous toxic chemicals that could leach into there. But our next project to come, we're going up, everyone. So hopefully you'll stay tuned and catch us next time. Thanks for watching, my friends. Take care. See you next time.